We're about to take you inside the first cathedral in human history, and what's hidden inside is almost impossible to believe. Locked behind glass are the very objects said to have killed Jesus Christ. The spear, the wood from the cross, even the hand of a saint. This place isn't just historic, it's holy. Most people will never see this in their lifetime. Cameras are never allowed, and yet we were granted permission to share this. So why are these relics here in Armenia, and how did the first church come to hold the most sacred and deadly items in all of Christianity? We're here to find out.
Oh, that's crazy.
Wakey, time to get up.
Okay.
Are you ready to go see the world's oldest church?
Yeah.
Are you ready to make your drive all the way back to Yerevan and get our first daylight hangout in Yerevan?
Yeah.
Are you ready for our folk, fun, local Yerevan dinner?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Jesus. Yes.
Let's do it. Statues leading up to it. This is cool.
It's not a mosque, is it?
No, it's a Yazidi temple. Here we are in the largest Yazidi temple in Armenia. Just to remind you that we have 90% Armenians, and among those 2% are several national minorities, and the largest of them are the Yazidis. The biggest communities of Yazidis used to live in northern Iraq, where now it's called Iraqi Kurdistan, and there's a town called Lalish there, and they have a holy mountain called Sinjar. In 2014, ISIS did a big genocide to Yazidi people. They used to call them devil worshippers because they are consider themselves pagan sun worshippers, and they used to rape and kill. So this memorial is dedicated to the 2014 Yazidi genocide. People didn't know much about these people until that famous speech of the Yazidi lady in the Iraqi parliament, calling people to just stand up for this nation. In Armenia, they have been living for centuries, shoulder to shoulder to Armenian people. They also suffered Armenian genocide in 1915 because the Ottomans were not only killing the Armenians, but also the Greeks, the Yazidis, the Assyrians. But there is one important historical event which happened in Armenia, the May historic battles. 1918 May. We have 3 heroic battles of Bashaparan, Karakilisa, and Sardarabad. These are all here in this front. Every single soul, even the priests, even children, everyone picked up weapons and started to fight against the Turks, and we had heroic victories. That's why we have a country today, and the first Armenian Republic was established in 1918 in May 28. But in Bashaparan, which is in the mountains on that side, when Armenians were skirmished by the Turkish soldiers, 3,000 cavalry of Yazidi with Jahangir Agha, with their famous military commander, came and went over all the Turks, saving all the Armenians. We never forgot that moment, and since then we have been even more close to one another. Even though they are pagan, we are Christians, but we have been under one roof and we love each other. They're very lovely people, farmers, they all have sheep. It's hard to imagine a Yazidi not having a sheep. There's even a story like a Yazidi goes to the police station and they speak Armenian with an accent. The Yazidi is saying, "Oh, Mr. Policeman, all my sheep are stolen." He's saying, "Brother, you're Yazidi, right?" He's saying, No, I'm 100% Armenian." Come on, I can see you're Yazidi." No, I swear I'm 100% Armenian." Come on, tell me, there's nothing to be shy about. If a Yazidi has no single sheep left, he's 100% Armenian. "Oh, my sheep are stolen, Mr. Policeman, please help me." So this is the memorial. You see the lady with the chains, with the broken chains there. So the next character is Komitas, a famous Armenian clergyman who also suffered Armenian genocide in 1915. He saw how Armenian intellectuals are being massacred in Constantinople, which is now Istanbul, and he got psychologically disabled. So what was important about the Komitas is that he went from village to village, listened to the folk songs of people and wrote notes for them, thus preserving the folk art. And he did the same thing also for the Yazidi people. That's why they give a grant to him and they have a statue of him here. This is a monument dedicated to the Armenian genocide, which was also considered to be the Yazidi genocide. So up there you can see 1915 and 2015, and you can see Echmiadzin, our most holy church and their most holy site in Armenia right here. This is the famous peacock. It's their symbol. and the symbol of eternity. We're gonna see a real peacock inside, stuffed one.
Oh, I was like a real one?
Zoravar Andranik, one of the most famous generals in 1918, those heroic battles. Zoravar Andranik was leading the Armenian, Yazidi and other troops against the Turks. He's a national hero of Armenia and he's a national hero of Bulgaria. He's buried there, his heart is buried here.
Really?
Yeah. And this is Jahangir Agha, this is the commander who came with his 3,000 cavalry in that place and saved the Armenians from the skirmish, the Yazidi guy. Now let's go towards the temple. Guys, we need to remove our shoes here.
Was it weird there?
Oh, was it one of those rooms? Hello? Whoa, whoa. Sounds like you're in a studio with like a minuscule delay.
Christian chant being sang in a Yazidi temple sounds really beautiful to the acoustics.
So beautiful. Freaking amazing, dude.
What did you just say?
This was a God have mercy, God. It's a 13th century Armenian chant. It is not a Yazidi chant, but the acoustics is so strong.
I don't know if you could pick it up, but like he would finish a note and then start the next one, and the reverberation would create like a third tone, basically.
Yeah.
And it was crazy.
That's why I kept like jolting my head around because it would go like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell where it was even coming from. I didn't know you were singing at first because it was coming from like all around.
Yeah, they created a very strong acoustics, and interestingly, in Yazidi culture, they don't have singings.
Really?
So, yeah.
Why did they build it to be so acoustically perfect?
I don't know. All of them are like this central dome, strong acoustics, but they don't.
It's just Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Like a Broadway.
Hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes, I can see it in your cheeks, I can see what's underneath, I can see it in your bed. Won't you join my sheets? I want you to always know, wherever I go, you go. You'll never leave me alone. You're mine to keep. Don't you know now, dear? Your heart is always near. I want you to smile from ear to ear. And if you ever fail, I will cut off your tail. And I will tell the people about the things like a fairy tale. And it won't end very well. Oh, the body of your corpse will smell. And one thing I must know, your body will have thoughts.
That's why we're still in a temple. That was master that shit.
The peacock, and there is one in the corner. You can go in, guys, but you have to remove your shoes. I just don't want to remove my shoes again. Put them back. Guys, with his car. Maybe he died in a car accident.
This feels like more of a fitting way to like memorialize
A person.
a permanent location. That way when you go to visit, or even if you don't know who they are, you can just kind of go like, oh.
You can go talk to him.
Yeah, so imagine like your great-great-grandson wants to come visit. They can actually like see you
Yeah.
as opposed to think of you.
The idea of putting anything on a place where a person was dead was not only to mark the place so that you could return, but also since the beginning of times, human also used to believe in evil and good souls, and he used to believe that evil soul can possess the dead body. That's from where this culture of zombies is coming. So they used to put a rock or a wood or whatever they could find so that the evil soul would possess that thing. And now we are more advanced. We are able to trick the evil soul, so we put the pictures so that they possess the pictures.
So if you come and talk to one of these pictures, you're actually talking to
If you
the
try to go back
possessed.
left and right, they usually look at you. It's like Mona Lisa's picture.
Yeah, full color
Yeah.
on those back there.
Oh, wow.
I feel like this is, I don't know, in a more appropriate way. This is in the United States. Everyone would like Photoshop abs and be like, you know, at the beach in Cabo.
In front of their jet.
Martini in one hand. Just
I'm kind of sad because we're on our last couple days in Armenia. I really like it here.
we have more wonderful countries coming up.
Yeah, that's true. But I like this one a lot. You like this one a lot too.
I do like this one a lot.
Let's go have fun.
And here you can see the king on the left, and Gregory, that was the guy in the dungeon. Together holding the cross as if they were the ones who brought Christianity to Armenia themselves. Now let's enter. On the other side, you can see the two apostles, Thaddeus and Bartholomeus. Thaddeus is the guy who holds the spear all the time, the spear of destiny, because he was the one who brought it to Armenia. And this is an open altar where every 7 years we prepare the holy chrism. That's the holy oil which we use for baptizing. One very important symbolic thing happened at this open altar. In 2015, during the centennial of the Armenian genocide, on April 24th, all the 1.5 million victims of Armenian genocide were canonized. So there are no more victims, they are martyrs. This was the largest group canonization in the history of humanity. And usually for canonizing someone, you use a belonging, a relic, a bone, a hair, a cloth from that person. We couldn't find all that. You know, we couldn't go and bring all of that from the deserts of Syria. So they were using a painting which was resembling all these people. And during the canonization process, when all these church leaders from all over the world, the Catholic, the Orthodox were sitting here, a pigeon flew from the sky and sat on the painting. Like the Holy Spirit came down. Just to let you know that in Armenian Apostolic Church, priests can get married. You can be a high priest in a church and have a wife and live in the neighboring community. If you want to get a higher rank, like archimandrite, archbishop, bishop, or catholicos, that's when you have to accept celibacy. And how to identify here if you see the priest? If they have a sharp dome head kind of vestment, that means they are monks. We have a big respect for the monks because they are given this option. Are you sure you want to become a monk? Think again, come back. And that's why you'd ever hear those bad stories you would hear in the Catholic Church. I don't want to even mention what I'm talking about. You know what happens there? Because these guys are given an option. This used to be one of our ancient capitals, Vagar Shapat. The palace used to be around here. There were different royal buildings around here. And ahead of us is the first state-built church in the whole world. Holy Yazidi Cathedral, built in 301. No other country had a church before that because they simply couldn't have it. The Romans would not let that happen. There were Christians, but they were hiding their faith. Why do we have the oldest one? Because in the government level, we adopted Christianity as the state's religion. So basically, all the other Gothic and central domes, single nave, double nave basilicas, they're all, the base is this structure right here. So this is the church which survived all these invasions, etc., because this was the last point. You reach here, we give up. We'll do everything, whatever you want, just don't destroy our church here.
Wow, look at this.
So this central part and the dome is the original 4th century part. The bell towers, the 3 around the dome and the main one were built in 17th century, and the main bell tower is the bouquet of all Armenian medieval ornaments. The frescoes were done in 18th century by a talented family called Hovnanian. That's what I have been restoring for the past almost 12 years. And if you were here like 3 months ago even, there were scaffolding around the church.
This was the one that you said it was open yesterday.
Restoration. Yeah, yesterday, 19th, was the day of the blessing. Every 7 years once we make the oil.
Yeah.
So they wanted to join that thing and the opening ceremony in one. Wow. There is one more monument I want to show you right there. Let's go back in time again. 1878 Berlin Congress. The head of Armenian delegation there was the Catholicos of that time, Father Gregory. He was one of the most beloved patriarch we ever had. And he is sending a letter back to HYAK from Berlin. He's saying the following. He's saying all the leaders of the world had gathered in Berlin and they were sharing the world among one another. Because they were drawing new lines. This is yours, this is Germany, this is Russia, this is US. They were cooking a huge soup in a huge bowl and taking their shares with their iron ladles. My ladle was from paper. And when I tried to take the Armenian share from this soup, it melted in the soup. The message was, Armenian people, they don't care about you here or anything. Take weapon and fight for your land. So this is an allegoric story. The true story which happened during the Berlin Congress was that Armenian question was supposed to be discussed, number 16 in the row of questions. When the delegation reached there with the Catholicos, they noticed that on the board, 1 was cut in front of 6 and a 1 was added next to 6, number 61. And Armenian question was not even discussed. So the Turks somehow interfered. After that, this rebellion movement started and Armenia started to fight. And this is the iron ladle of Father Vladimir. Now you know.
See, I've changed. See, I've got it all from the one I know.
You saw it from outside, and this is what's happening. Very tiny, detailed work. Like I've done most of it, but it was done in 18th century, guys. She's restoring them.
So this is what you could be doing with your art, Gregory.
So cool. In another life, I'd be doing that. But I have an audiobook.
So we are gonna go around the residence of the Catholicos to see the Spear of Destiny and a piece of Noah's Ark.
I'm excited. And also, look how pretty this ticket is. It's gold and shiny.
So here you can see a map of our region. This is how paradise was being described by many Western scholars. The central paradise is Mount Ararat, 4 rivers, Tigris, Euphrates. So this is where Armenia is. And that's Ararat mountain right in the middle.
Oh, that's crazy.
Right in front of you, you can see a fragment of Noah's Ark. Behind the cross, you can see a petrified wood, which is believed to be brought from the top of Mount Ararat in 5th century. There was a legend connected to that story that he was always trying to climb up the mountain to try to get evidence of Noah's Ark, but it's such a huge mountain, he was falling asleep halfway, and when he was waking up, he was again back in the slope. But he never gave up, he continued doing that until God sent an angel. The angel kept a piece of wood under his head, and when he woke up at that moment, he said, "This is the evidence, you don't need to climb the mountain, go and don't doubt about God." So all the way until like late 19th century, to climb the mountain, you had to get a special permission and a pass from HYAK to do the climb. A little fragment is cut. It was gifted to the Empress Ekaterina of Russia and is now kept in one of the monasteries in Russia right there. And the reliquary is from 13th century. It's gold and silver.
It's pretty insane.
Radiant crosses are the crosses which have rays of sun going out, which resemble the spread of Christianity, like the light spreads over people. Same way Christianity will spread through the apostles. That's why the apostles are carved on it, and there's Christ up there. And they're all precious and semi-precious stones. The most important relic that Armenian nation has possesses. That's the spear of destiny, or the spear of Longinus, the Roman soldier who pierced the side of Christ when he was crucified to check whether he is dead or alive, and blood and water came out from his side. So we believe that this actual spear was brought to Armenia by Apostle Jude Thaddeus, and was kept in the monastery we were going to be going tomorrow, the Cave Monastery, for over 500 years. Since mid-19th century, it was moved here to keep it more safe. The interesting story is that in the world there are another 3 of these spears which claim to be the real one, in Austria, in Poland, and in the Vatican City. And now I'm going to try to prove you that this one is the genuine thing. Our Catholicos, about 10 years ago, offered to do a carbon dating to at least figure out if they were all from 1 century or not. The one in Austria and in Poland, they denied this project because they're saying, you don't die, you don't doubt God. We believe that's more than enough. And then we said, okay, that means you doubt about yourself. So the one in Vatican and Armenia were carbon dated. Both of them are 1st century, so both of them could be the real thing. But why do we still believe that Armenians possess the real one? It's because all the relics of Christ were distributed among all the disciples. And spear went to Thaddeus. He's always depicted with a spear in his hand, and we know that he came to Armenia with Bartholomew, and they got martyred here. They were killed by the Armenian pagan, and most probably he left the original spear, and it was handed over from generation to generation and reached us till these days. People have been always talking about this spear. There was a big virus spreading and a famine or some disaster happening. They took out the spear, they prayed, and they were killed.
What was the Vatican spear?
They say, so what Vatican's one is that Peter made a copy, the true copy of the spear, when Thaddeus took it with him to the east. And it was hanging in his house when Rome was burned by Nero, remember? So that spear was hanging still there. So that could be the first true copy that Peter made from the original one. So this is an altar curtain from 17th century, which was a gift from the Armenian community in India. The first Armenian newspaper was printed in Madras. So because Armenians were famous traders and merchants, and they were going all the way to India and China to trade on the Silk Route, so that's how they established their communities in Calcutta and in Madras. And this was a gift from them. You can see the adoption of Christianity, Gregory baptizing the king on River Euphrates. And you can see the tortures of Gregory, the eliminator, and all the stories that I was telling you. It's a handwork. If you come closer, you will see it's a handwork, and like there are prints on it, and then they done it. So tiny detail. It's gorgeous.
It's crazy. But look at the torture methods. Yeah. They would all be a horrible way to go. I don't even know what's going on here.
It's being lowered onto spikes.
Snakes? This lady's head on the spike. Twice. All their heads are chopped off.
That's a bad way to go, fam. You're upside down and they just like...
They've been even like tar or whatever.
Just the worst possible thing.
The sainthood Gregory went through all of this to reach that.
Oh, you had to subdue yourself to all of these punishments?
No, I mean, they were trying to torture him, and then at the end they threw him into the, because he was not dying, and they threw him into the pit. This is all one person.
Oh, so he survived. Oh, this is
one person. This is that
survived.
guy who ended up being in the pit.
Wait, in the same the church that we went to.
Yes. That's so deep.
Okay.
And there should be a place where he's in the pit. When he was taken out after he cured the king, he became our first Catholicos. This was a common thing, all the sufferings which lead them towards sainthood. Because many people were not surviving some of these tortures, and they were dying, and they were becoming martyrs. All the apostles, they had horrible deaths. Most of them, in their icons, when you see the paintings of the apostles, they hold some relic on one hand and a knife on the other hand. That knife is the symbol of being skinned to death. That's how Romans were killing the Christians. Remember in one of the churches I was saying that they are built very remote so that they can protect the manuscripts. They were protecting them because of the case, the cover. Look at the details and the precious stones, gold and silver. This was very attractive by the enemies, not the thing inside. The manuscripts handwritten on parchment. And this is another reliquary. And here we have the relics of the Catholicos, during whose time Armenian alphabet was made. This is the guy who made the alphabet, and during the time when he was leaving, it was this Catholicos. And that guy is the father of Armenian historians who wrote the history of Armenia from high degree all the way up to 5th century. So remember I was telling about the rescue of the Armenian royal family from the island in the Lake Sevan. They had a king. His name was Ashot the Iron, because he was very powerful. And this was his battle cross from 9th century, the original one. And in the center, you see there is a transparent glass. Behind it there is a little fragment of wood. That's an original fragment from Christ's crosswood. Because of the little fragment of Christ's crossbow, he believed that he had lots of victories. They were saying that if the army would see that this cross is missing in the battle, they would not fight. Because they believe that this cross is the one which brings them victory. Wow. This is another very unique reliquary. And in the middle you can see a transparent glass. And again there is a wood. So that's another fragment of Christ's crossbow.
How many items in the world have fragments of Christ?
I don't know. Imagine there were so many pieces made that you can make now 4 crosses. Whether you believe in them being the real, because every of them has a story how it ended up being here. You have to believe into that story, how true that story is, not into the carbon dating, because there are so many first century wood in the world. These are different vestments and fragments of the vestments of the priests. Sometimes it can weigh up to 20 kilograms. Now look at this one. The first sight, this book feels like it's printed, but this was done in 19th century by a lady who eventually got blind at the end. It was all done by hand. There were 250 pages of the gospel translated, and even the letters have their own shadows.
Oh yeah.
Wow, impressive.
And guys, right here is the biography of Father Rimian, the guy in Berlin. Remember the conference I saw? And one of his students made it, and by highlighting some of the letters, got his portrait in the back.
Yeah, that's awesome.